All right, so I said 6 o'clock. Let's start with the webinar because it's going to be a very tight show today. Thank you everyone for joining. Uh, I see that more people are joining in. Thank you so much, Vikram, for joining. So because we are running a very tight show, I'm just going to start ahead, and it's going to be a very tight session. So it's just going to be 30 minutes because people, this is a Sunday and people are busy all the week. So let us get to the point. Okay, the webinar is titled, and I don't believe in presentations when I'm speaking. So if you find any concepts that are very difficult to grasp, I am going to write it in the chat box, or I encourage you to make your own notes. Okay, and there is a reason why I encourage my students and people in general to make notes whenever they are attending one of my sessions or one of my classes. So let's get to the topic. Now, the title of the webinar is Skills of the Future. Okay, so how many of us have attended throes and throes of webinars or seen ads teaching us AI skills, teaching us how to build a business, teaching us business funnels, teaching us time management, all of these business gurus, time management gurus. We all must have come across those ads, right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And so now this webinar, in fact, my sessions go beyond that, and I'm going to tell you why, right? So the whole journey started with my sister asking me, uh, Didi, how to write a test. Tell me how to write a test. Now I'm going to give you a very clear answer because this is something that is relevant to all of us, right? And it starts with a very basic question as to how to write a test. Now, what is the test about? Can anyone tell me what is the test about?
Ma'am, may I tell?
Yes, yes, please tell me, Vikram.
Yeah, ma'am. So a test is about testing a general knowledge of that particular subject or for
Yes,
that guy. Like, does he know about the stuff or not? So the
yes,
test basically tells us. It's like that we know that on what level that guy is actually. That's what test is about.
yes, very good. Thank you, Vikram. So, as Vikram said, test is about letting us know of our own caliber in that subject. And on what basis do we know that? On what basis does a test tell us that, okay, we are on a basic level or an intermediate level or an advanced level in that subject matter? How do we know that? Khushi,
By test.
how do we know that? I'm just going to give you the answer. Uh, we know that on the basis of the results that we are
On the
getting.
basis of results.
Yes, very good. So we know that on the basis of results that we are getting, right? So what is the purpose of test? The a purpose of test is to get results. Now I want you to just focus on this term, results. Okay, and we're going to come back to this. Now how does this align to the skill of the future? What, if I'm to answer the question, what is the skill of the future? I'm going to give you this term called human optimization. Okay, so I'm just going to repeat because I know that this is dense concept and I want everyone on board and everyone to understand what I'm trying to say. We write a test, any kind of test, to to of course test our caliber. Okay, and how do we do that? On the basis of results that we are getting. ठीक है, अगर हम एक टेस्ट के लिए बैठ रहे हैं, किसी एग्जाम के लिए बैठ रहे हैं, and if we are getting, let's say, 95 marks out of 100, we will assume that we are good at the subject. At the same time, if we are getting passing marks or 20 out of 100, we will assume that we are not that great at the subject. In other scenarios, certain tests are meant to be competitive, means you are supposed to compare against or compete against various people, you know uh, perhaps lakhs of people, so you need that ranking. For example, CAT, common entrance test for your business schools, common aptitude test, sorry. So What does that tell us? We write tests, particularly, I want to get it very clear out there. We want tests to get results. Now, how does this align with the skills of the future? I've given you this concept called human optimization, right? What is the skill of the future? If I have to tell you in one simple or one simple phrase, or if you have I have to give you a term, it is human optimization. What is human optimization now? Human optimization is to optimize human abilities and optimize human qualities to get desired and maximum results. Again, I'm going to repeat it so that it is clear, and it will become clearer as we go through the session. Human optimization is the is the process of using human abilities to get maximum and desired results. I'm going to type it down so that there's no confusion. And I prefer an interactive session. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box. It's available to all. And if I ask you any question, please do answer it. Right. So if anyone of you, while I'm typing the definition, if any of one of you can just give me the definition. Yes, Vikram. Yes, Vikram, you
Ma'am,
can.
actually I had a question in that.
Sure.
Yeah. So, ma'am, the question was like human optimization is just said. So, what what kind of domain does it cover, ma'am? Like
What kind of?
physical, like what is the domain of that human
Yes, yes,
optimization?
yes. We're going to talk about that. So, I have given you the definition. Vikram, tell me if I've understood your question properly. You are asking about the domain of the talk,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
domain of the talk. Okay, so the domain of the talk right now, it is general and broad. Okay, because we are basically training and catering to variety of people. We are training engineers, we are focusing on students, we are working with people who are in ed tech, and also students. Okay, I am giving you a broad background of things that are generally applicable to all disciplines, and it is going to become clear as to why, because we are talking about something called human cognition. Okay, what is human cognition? Anyone? Now, okay, tell me, what is common in all the professions that that is prevalent? It's a very simple, basic answer. It's not some rocket science. Who work? What constitutes the workforce? What constitutes the workforce?
Putting continuous effort.
Please type in the answer. Your voice is not audible.
Okay.
What constitutes the workforce?
Ma'am, can you simplify the question?
To just give you an answer, people constitute the workforce. Okay, people constitute the workforce. Is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
So do you agree that the common factor in all the human professions is people? The common factor in all the human professions is people. Now we've got only 20 minutes left, so let me just get ahead with the talk, provide you with the content, and then we can have a Q&A round. Okay, so if we factor in human cognition and human metacognition, I'm going to provide you definitions and discussion of each of these terms. We are basically helping ourselves understand and optimize all the professions that exist in the world today. All right, so first let us delve into conceptual clarity. First, let us clarify our concept. Let us first clarify our concept as to what is human cognition. Now, human cognition refers to mental processes and tools that helps us process information. Human, again, I'm going to repeat once again. uh, Please type in any doubts or questions that you may have. Okay, because I want it to be crystal clear. Human cognition or cognitive practices. Cognitive, whenever you hear the word cognition or cognitive abilities, it should just take you back to this scene where I'm directing my hand to my brain. It refers to mental processes. It refers to mental processes that help us process information. It is just processing information. Okay. And how do we process information? We organize information. Okay, for example, when you are crossing a road, your brain performs multitude of functions just right in that moment. It sees the road and it calculates the speed of the coming vehicles, it counts the number of vehicles, it calculates the your footsteps, the speed of your footsteps, and then you are finally able to cross the road. All right. So you perform multitude of those functions in that in a very short span of time. And how are you able to do that? Because your cognitive processes have been trained to do that. Okay. Someone, maybe when you were little, maybe your mom and dad held your hand and said ki beta aise karte hain, or maybe you observe people doing that, and gradually it just became something that you do on your own. And if you think about it, your life depends on crossing a road perfectly. Your life depends on your brain calculating the speed of the vehicle, seeing a vehicle, observing a vehicle first of all, seeing what kind of road it is, calculating the kind of time it would take to cross across the road, etc. So organizing information. Second is attention and focus. Okay, attention and focus, we're going to talk more about this in the coming sessions. Third is memory. As I told you, we began the session with a test, and one of the areas where students face problems, or students pay attention to, is memory. Usually we think that um, test is all about, sorry, memorizing information. Usually we think that test is all about memorizing information, but it is one aspect of tests, right? Fourth is problem solving. Okay, problem solving is one of uh, most critical areas of human cognition that we need currently. Okay, again I'm going to repeat, human cognition refers to mental processes, just the mental processes of processing information, and problem solving is one of the advanced stages of human cognition. Problem solving is one of the advanced stages of human cognition, and we need to train our kids, especially young kids and even adults. We need to develop an aptitude of, sorry, attitude and aptitude of problem solving in both young kids and older and adults, because it really helps a society. For example, if you see I'm sure most of us would have seen that uh, most of us must have seen that ad where the traffic is blocked, the road is blocked because a tree fell. I think it's from Bombay. And like, some people just stand there complaining that government does nothing, this several people stand there just complaining. And there are a group of people who have that attitude, ki, no, what, there's a little kid who has that attitude, no, you know what, I need to solve this problem. And but he has that attitude, but he does not have that aptitude because he's just a little kid, he has limited strength. So then other people gather around him and help him push that tree. So that attitude and aptitude of problem solving needs to be cultivated and developed in the children and adults, right? This is one of the skills that I'm paying a lot of attention to, and I'm giving internships and I'm training students to help develop the skill, because this is a skill the country needs right now. Okay, especially a country like ours, we need that skill, because on a side note, our scholarship and our academia has been dominated by problem creators. Or our education has been dominated, our scholarship has been dominated by problem creators rather than problem solvers. Okay. And problem solvers in our society, in our country, uh, you know basically we think of them as engineers or uh, people who are technocrats, but it does not have to be limited to that. Of course engineers and technocrats are problem solvers, but problem solving does not have to be limited to these people only, right? So problem solving is a skill that all of us need, the country needs right now in order to progress, in order to grow. Now fourth is of course next is of course reasoning, so critical reasoning. um, Again, this is a highly specialized field and we'll need another webinar to talk about it. I'm just giving it to you what constitutes human cognition. Now why am I talking about this, and why is human cognition important? As we discussed uh, previously, if we target human cognition, we are basically taking care of several fields. We are taking care of almost every profession, everything that exists on the face of earth that human beings work with. If you are a highly intelligent woodcutter, you would come up with some brilliant technique to save yourself time, to save yourself effort, to optimize your work, and to make better guitars, for example, or to make better chairs, to make better beds, to make better furnitures. You know, if you are a highly intelligent, let's say, give me a profession, guys. Give me a profession. I prefer a one-on-one essay, interactive session. What would you like to be?
Or detective.
Detective. If okay, so in detectives are anyway highly intelligent, right? So if you are a highly intelligent, highly qualified detective, you are solving crimes, you are interacting with people, and you have that level of cognition that you can understand people right here. So in I think Vikram, that was a really good answer because it gave me a really good slant. Because if
Yeah, that's why
you
I answered that.
hmm?
Yeah, that's why I answered that,
Right.
because it actually matches with the topic.
Okay. So uh, when we are speaking of people who who deal with human beings, they actually have the ability to change the course of society. It's not the scholars sitting in AC comfortable classrooms and offices. It's not technocrats. It's people who work one on one, who have the ability to observe people, who have the ability to observe people. And then that detective, uh, you know he or she can come up with capabilities to even influence perspectives and come up with a theory of society that is highly influential. Now let me just give you a brief idea as to why this is relevant. All of you must have heard of Karl Marx, right? I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Why? Even though we do not know his theories, but his economic perspectives, he was not some killer, okay? But his philosophy and his perspective towards society influenced several political leaders, several activists, several industrialists, several students, and several people, even after his death. Right? Why is that? Because he came up with a theory of society by observing society around him at that point of time. So that is the power of someone who acutely observes society and who resonates with people has. So let's take the example of of a highly intelligent detective. A detective works with crime, works with societal structures, and maybe that detective is able to come up with a theory or come up with a structure, come up with some insight that helps us optimize crime rates, such that we we experience a drastic fall in crime rates. you know so a highly intelligent human being, a happy human being, is of use everywhere. That is the point. Now let's get on to the next part of the webinar. So why are we talking about human cognition? That is one, because human beings are a common factor. Human beings are a common factor in all the human professions, everything that everyone does. Secondly, w- um, आपको क्या लगता है ह्यूमन कोग्निशन इज स्टडीड बाय whom? कौन ह्यूमन कोग्निशन स्टडी करता है? ह्यूमन कोग्निशन इज स्टडीड बाय न्यूरोसाइंटिस्ट्स, it is studied by psychologists, it has been studied by philosophers all across the cultures. एक भी कल्चर दुनिया में ऐसा नहीं है, एक भी पीरियड ऑफ टाइम में ऐसा नहीं है जिन्होंने ह्यूमन कोग्निशन स्टडी नहीं किया है, right? So human cognition has been studied by neuroscientists, it is being studied by neuroscientists, it is being studied by psychologists, it has been studied by philosophers as well. Now interestingly, it is being studied and put to practices on basic to advanced level in our schools, colleges and universities, so it has universal application. Do I make sense? Yes,
Yes,
no?
ma'am.
Anyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Vikram, you're not audible.
Yes, ma'am. It makes sense.
Okay, thank you. So human cognition is a subject that is universally applicable because it is right now it has been studied by neuroscientists, psychologists and philosophers, and yeah, Kushi, I'll get to that question. And uh, it has been studied in ancient times to modern times by philosophers. Now philosophy is just another fancy name for whatever we, science plus psychology, or whatever that society understood of the world at that point of time. So I hope the point is very clear that we have studied cognition since the beginning of time. Now let us get to the second part of the webinar. It's 6:24 already, so I'll try to wrap it up really soon. uh, the second part of the webinar is beyond cognition, going beyond cognition. Now what is there are four principles mainly that I'm just going to mention because these are advanced topics and we are going to cover it in the upcoming webinars. It constitutes, and you might recognize some of them. So you will recognize one, emotion. Emotion, everyone recognizes emotion. Whoever recognizes emotion, please raise hand. Just raise your hand. Okay, very good. Second is consciousness. Consciousness, who recognizes consciousness? Consciousness, everyone. Okay. uh, Third is intuition. Intuition, intuition, everyone recognizes. Okay. And fourth is embodiment. Embodiment, now this is so embodiment is a concept that not everyone will know, and it will take another session, so we're going to discuss all of that. But the point is that apart from our cognitive abilities constitutes what? Your information processing, information memorization, problem solving, critical thinking, all of these capabilities that we discussed, language, all of these constitutes cognition. And beyond cognition constitutes your emotions, your consciousness, your intuition, your embodiment. In order to be ready for the skill of the future, we need to optimize each of these areas. These areas. Now I planned on explaining this concept by using two examples. I'll do my best. So let us first address the myth of the hard work. Who thinks, like, please raise your hand. Kushi, put down your hand, and then you can answer the question, for the questions. uh, so who thinks that working hard will get us results? Who thinks that working hard would get us results? Okay. So what if I tell you that it is only partly true? Working hard sometimes is necessary, and human beings kind of have bought into this myth that working hard will is a priority or is something that we need to do. But it is not exactly true. Sometimes working hard and getting results are in two separate boxes. Sometimes they lead, one box leads to another box, but sometimes, and most of the times, they are in two separate boxes. So it is your imperative, or it is your duty to get results. Yes, working hard in the right direction can get results, right? So that is the can, that probability and that possibility is the main frame. Okay, so working hard in the right direction can get results. But let me tell you, who are the hardest workers on the planet?
Labors.
Laborers. And do you think, would you categorize, they are hard workers, do you think they're the most productive? Do you think they contribute most to the humanity or most to the society?
Nope.
Hmm?
No, no.
So hard work has its place. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you answer. Hard work has its place, right? But we kind of have bought into this myth that everything can be achieved by hard work. No, hard work and results, hard work and productivity are two separate boxes that might sometime combine. Okay, and that is rule number one of human optimization. Second thing that I wanted to discuss is, right now what we are seeing in the world today is externalization of intellect. I'm just going to type it down because I don't want you to be confused. Now, uh, give me an example. So I'm sorry people, it's going to take like 10 more minutes because we started late. But if you want to leave, I understand. uh, if you want to stay, I'm more than glad. So can anyone give me an example of externalization of intellect? What do I mean by externalization of intellect? Okay, now let me take you back. Has anyone heard of industrial revolution? Industrial revolution, people?
Yeah, I have heard. Yes.
Yes. Now, I would term industrial revolution as externalization of physical labor. Okay, I would term industrialization as externalization of physical labor. Because what did industrial revolution do? It replaced one. It replaced relevance of large number of human laborers. It optimized production in the society by making machines work for human beings, right? So productivity increased, the requirement for human labor transformed, it didn't decrease. We suddenly needed more factory workers, right? So we basically, as a species, as a civilization, we created machines to do our work. Similarly similarly in this 21st century, we have come up with artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence to do our work. How? To do our cognitive work. All right. So what we are experiencing, Ritima, if you have a question, you can drop in your question in the chat box. What we are experiencing is externalization of human intellect, which means that we have a manifestation of a tool that can do our work for us. Now, what should be our next step? What should be our next step? Our next step should be to adapt to it. Our next step should be to grow along with it to get the results that we want. Okay, so these were
Ma'am,
the two
I have a question
examples.
here.
Yes, Vikram.
Ma'am, I have a question here.
I can't hear you. Please use the chat box. So,
Hello.
yes, Vikram.
Yeah, ma'am. So I was saying that as the topic is human cognitive skills.
Mm-hmm.
So don't you think that like the AI are actually diminishing those skills of ours?
Right. So you can use it any way if possible. There are several. I would take reference from sci-fi movies. You human beings can either just sit around, do nothing, let machines do the job. But uh, history is testament to the fact that never happens. That doesn't happen. If it was supposed to, did industrial revolution make us lazy? No, it didn't. It fast tracked our society, or it pushed our society into different kinds of economic structures where we build these great cities and humans are working harder than ever, right? So
Yeah,
a
but
similar
uh,
a similar thing is happening with our mental processes as well, you know. And that kind of growth that came along with industrial revolution was unprecedented. We didn't plan it. No one foresaw it. Yes, calculators don't diminish our skills, they aid it, right? Thank you. So uh, you know, we can either, so some of the human skills will remain ever relevant, okay, but I don't think artificial intelligence is going to diminish our skills. It is going to force us, it is going to force us, mark my words, to develop newer and better skills, right? So let me repeat it. Artificial intelligence is going to force us into developing and creating better skills, because all of this is a creative process. All of this is a creative process. uh, the evidence is in the history. The evidence is in the history of human growth, and so we'll discuss it in another session probably, but I hope this answers your question, Vikram.
no, ma'am.
Can you come again?
So, ma'am, my argument here is like after the industrial revolution, ma'am, the number of obesity in the population increased.
Okay.
So, with that same logic, we can actually say that after the AI like ChatGPT and all, we
Hmm.
can actually write like if someone does not have a knowledge of how a letter works, how an essay works, what is the format of that, or even the basic knowledge of vocabulary, he
Right.
can just type and he can write down that whole, and the another person would not even know that does this person have that skill or not.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
So that person would not be using his creative mind. So
Right.
due to the evolution, that creative brain will diminish.
So then, natural selection will work out, that particular gene pool will go extinct. If a person doesn't use his creative ability, if your argument is that there's some kind, there are going to be lazy people who are just going to make AI do their work, and they're not going to focus on creative abilities, natural selection, natural evolution will work out. They will become irrelevant, they will become redundant. And that is why we are holding these webinars, how to work around these tools, how to and you're right, industrial revolution has repercussions that we are still dealing with. It has impacted our food, it has impacted our body types, it has impacted our diet, and we still need to evolve to it. We need to be aware of it, and we need to evolve to those changes in order to in order to live a good life. You're right about that. But my argument, and again, if for example, producing food on industrial scale has led to hybridization of seeds, and that is causing cancer in certain parts of the world, for example, in certain parts of Punjab. What is that resulting into? That is resulting into disease and extinction. So we need to deal with that problem, and problems come along with this kind of growth. So if a person is not utilizing his or her creative abilities, that is our job to say that don't do that, because AI as a tool is much more than you just sitting and lazing around and making the AI do your work. It is a creative tool to fast track human growth and fast track human cognition, because it is an externalization of some coder sat down and said that whatever human knowledge has been recorded on the internet, and now we have internet, we have huge amount of data. Let us just channelize it into natural language processing. Let us just make a system, and you know use NLP to help people out. That was a creative process. So creative processes are important, and it will always be relevant, and human beings need to always be on the edge and train themselves on how to stay on top, be on the edge, and use their mental and metacognitive abilities to stay at the top of the game, right? So I hope that answers your question, Vikram. So anyway, let me end the webinar by saying that we have paid too much attention to cognitive processes, because that is what Western paradigms or Western knowledge paradigms paid attention to. Okay, there are historical reasons for the same. There are historical reasons for the same, but I will tell you certain aspects of beyond cognition. Beyond cognition entails dealing with our optimizing our emotions, optimizing our consciousness. So my book is based on consciousness. It deals with a subject called consciousness studies. It deals I pay a lot of attention to consciousness, and it's a very different concept to understand. People who just deal with cognition, it's a befuddling concept, it's a confusing concept for them. So we are going to talk about that in coming webinars. Third is intuition, and fourth is embodiment. So embodiment is also very important. According to Indian sciences, if we just know about Indian sciences, Indian sciences do not differentiate between embodiment, consciousness, and cognition. But since we are dealing with Western paradigms, and since we are in an education system that is dominated by Western paradigms, we'll understand all of these concepts, and then we'll come back to how we can deal with all of them. So now ending the webinar with that one question: how to solve a test. How to solve a test. Now your test, any if you're attempting any kind of test, of course it tests your subject knowledge, right? uh, like maybe you're an engineer, electrical engineer, so whatever you've studied in the classroom, whatever information you've absorbed, of course it tests that. So it tests your information absorption, it tests your memory or information retention, it also tests your problem solving skills or critical reasoning skills, and most of all, a test is a conditioned environment, is a closed system created. For example, if you're attempting a 60-minute test, you're given 60 minutes to write, let's say, 30 answers. You know that you're short of time. So it is to accelerate your mental abilities to write the test in the given time. So it is a test of your focus as well, because focus makes things go fast and focus solves problems. So I would leave you with this tip, very simple tip after all of this, that the way to go about a test is, of course, information absorption and information retention, and also focus. Focus building is the key, right? And these are aspects of human cognition that we need to take into account to go forward. Now with this, I end the session. Thank you so much everyone for joining. If you have any questions, any discussions, please feel free to ask me.
Ma'am, in the part of memory
Vikram, you're
section,
not audible.
uh, ma'am, in the part of memory, are we also gonna learn stuff like memory palaces and all that memory techniques?
Yes, yes, yes.
Good.
Okay, so if you don't have any questions or comments, do let me know what you thought of the webinar, because I always appreciate feedback. Also, I will be thank you so much for joining. I'm really thankful to all of you for just staying here and listening to me calmly for 30 40 odd minutes. I know it's a lot of time. Thank you so much. Yeah, bye bye. Now you all of you can exit the meeting.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Vikram. Yeah. You can all exit if you like in